Welcome to another episode of News Buzz by Twice Told Tales podcast. In this episode, we're going to talk about the BRICS and the new members, including Iran. Take it away, Satara.
So the BRICS announced officially that they're taking 6 new members, which includes Iran, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Ethiopia, UAE, and what was the other one? Argentina. Yeah. So with the new member, this is like really big news and important news, and I think this is like the steps towards the collapse of any sanctioned regime that the U.S. has been imposing on different nations, including Venezuela, Iran, Russia, Cuba, and all other countries. I mean, this is like the first steps. This is going to happen very soon, but it's going to be very influential. And with the new members now, which starts, the new membership will start, I think, in January 2024. And with the new members, BRICS will make up about 46% of the population of the world. More than 44% of oil reserves in the world. And there was one more significant data that I have here. 37% of global GDP share. So these are very significant numbers, especially with oil. I think this announcement shows that the BRICS is ready to accept even more members, because there are a lot of other nations that have asked to be a part of the BRICS. And as more people move away from the US and European countries and powers, it becomes easier to resist the imperialist power and US hegemony.
So they said these 6 will be officially accepted at the first of the year, and then they'll have a process to accept new members. So it sounds like these are like on January 1st are going to be official members, but then even before the next BRICS meeting, they'll be able to start accepting new members, if I understood that correctly. So it may be that they're like, even before the next BRICS meeting, there could be 20 new members. Sounds like, yeah. So
yeah, I mean, each of these countries have a significance, and we have Argentina, we have Iran and Saudi Arabia, we have Egypt and Ethiopia. I mean, obviously, Iran is very important to have, and Iran and Saudi Arabia are important because of not only because they have the oil, but also because, after Russia's operation in Ukraine started, and Russia came under even more sanctions. I think the need for developing a new currency and moving away from dollar was felt more strongly by all nations, and it became more. It became more possible for all these nations to consider developing a new currency and move away from U.S. dollars. So that's one of the significance. But also we have Egypt joining. So can you explain about why Egypt is important?
Actually, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and Argentina were all real surprises to me, because they're all very very willing to be bullied by America and financially bullied. So I mean, Argentina is just shocking to me, because of all the states in South America, they're probably the most financially U.S. aligned, and that may be why they joined, because they're just like, please get us out of this nonsense, because their inflation has been out of control, and they're always allied with the U.S. for some reason. So that was shocking. But Egypt's probably even the most shocking, because they are like the third largest recipient of U.S. aid worldwide, and that aid is Jordan. Well, no, maybe they're the second. It's Jordan and Egypt are either second and third. Israel's the first, and Jordan and Egypt just follow Israel because they're paid to suppress their populations in order to protect Israel. So they're paid. So all that money is just meant to create fake security for Israel. So so it's shocking because the leadership of Egypt is willing to risk all that cash that I guess they get to squander however they want in this exchange that may anger America. But I guess they feel secure because no one's going to move their country. They're always going to be next to Israel, so they're always going to get that money, I guess. So it is fascinating, but it is nice too because it shows that there is a desire within the government of Egypt to move past this imperialist framework. So that's interesting. And then Saudi Arabia obviously is a shocker somewhat because ever since Bretton Woods, that agreement when the U.S. currency was taken off the gold standard, and we supplemented oil with this contract with Saudi Arabia to say we'll protect you with all of our military, however you want, in exchange for you valuing all currency in dollars, which made the U.S. dollar the reserve currency and sort of gave the U.S. this fake oil standard for the dollar, which isn't. It's just based on Saudi Arabia going along with that, and they've shown in the last 6 months or so that they don't care anymore about that agreement, and they've been trading oil in whatever currency they want. So, and the U.S. still looks like it has a desire to try and pretend that Saudi Arabia is its puppet. So, yeah, obviously shows that Saudi Arabia it doesn't care anymore, and it's going to go with whatever suits it best. So hopefully that means but they're also Saudi Arabia is also like I sent you that picture just today. It's like apparently like Israel's opening like a Chabad house in Saudi Arabia. I mean, they have gone full on Israel buddy. So I don't know what that's about because they got these like rabbis over there dancing with.
Yeah. That's the thing about it. Like, Saudi Arabia is not going to turn its back against the U.S. and Israel, but it's at the same time because the Biden administration was not was not caring about things there at all. And when China offered economic investment in Saudi Arabia welcomed that, and I mean, money talks, and it's I think it's very. I mean, China's role and Saudi Arabia accepting or giving in to China playing a stronger role in the policy of the country than the U.S. is, I mean, it's really surprising because you wouldn't expect Saudi Arabia to do it. But I think at the same time they're pursuing the normalization of relations with the Israeli regime. They're meeting with Israeli officials. You see videos coming of like Saudis dancing with Israeli rabbis or Israeli citizens or whatever. So yeah, I mean, I prefer to be very to remain skeptical about Saudi Arabia and the roles that it wants to play. But at this point, Saudi Arabia becoming a member of BRICS is really significant because of not only because they have the oil, but also because they were a major ally of U.S. in the West Asian region.
But you said like it's surprising that Saudi Arabia would allow China to like take a role in it. But I think what's surprising isn't that. It's surprising that the U.S. would allow Saudi Arabia to do that. So I think all of this shows right now that the U.S. is really weakening in its ability, in its diplomatic power or its overall power. It's showing a major weakness when Saudi Arabia, who was its like biggest puppet there after Israel, is now just kind of like pouring itself out to whoever. I mean, from an American perspective, it's just like what, how is it possible that you're like allowing your this country that you had control over to now take money from anyone else to do whatever they want?
Yeah, it's surprising because Saudi Arabia would never say no to the US or turn its back against the US. It's surprising in that way. I mean, it's surprising because, as you said, like the US is not doing anything to stop Saudi Arabia, or at least it doesn't sound like they are doing that. So that's why I'm skeptical and why I want to wait and see what comes out of this. And I mean, out of the deal with China and the resuming of relations with Iran, not just like the BRICS. I mean, with BRICS, I think it's a very positive step, and it's a really good news that they have accepted Iran and Saudi Arabia and UAE also. I mean, that's going to be a game changer.
Yeah, it's Saudi Arabia sort of belittles the U.S. as well, is that it takes Israel on as its like buddy with all this ridiculous, like, I mean, a Chabad house in like the 100% Muslim country is insane. So like, I don't know, which is supposed to be like a gathering house for these extremist Zionists. Like, there's like one now. It's the rabbi that runs that operation. So like, if that's true, I haven't verified it. I just saw this post, but like, it wouldn't surprise me, and that's the point. Is like they're so flagrantly making these ties with Israel as a way of saying, and then they're sort of throwing their hand against American, in except for they take the money, they let them have their base, but they're like they're not welcoming to especially the Biden administration. So it's interesting that they're pushing America back. But yeah, UAE is an interesting player too, because they weren't super pro America, were they, to begin with?
Yeah, they have always been super pro America.
Yeah,
they sometimes play this game that's like they sometimes want to pretend that they are independent in their policy makings, but they're not. Saudi Arabia, I mean, UAE was a big part of the war, the Saudi Arabia's war in Yemen too, and also in suppression of the majority Shia population in Bahrain. Like Saudi Arabia and UAE sent troops to suppress the protesters in Bahrain, and so UAE has been also sending troops and arms to support Saudi Arabia in its war in Yemen. So yeah, they're pretty much.
I don't know how they would be willing participants in BRICS agendas, but it'll be interesting to see. I mean, because BRICS is.
I think they're looking at the economic benefits that it would. I mean, at this point, I think UAE and Saudi Arabia are more focused on the economic like results that it would have for them.
Well, economic things have direct result in conflict. So hopefully
Yeah.
bring them in, makes them more peaceful actors in the Middle East.
I hope so. Yeah. Yeah, I would love to see the dismantling of Wahhabi ideology, because it's affecting a lot of people across the world. So
well, without, I mean, having a strong tie with Israel is not going to help, but definitely having less of a tie with the U.S. will slowly reduce the need for Wahhabi ideology around the world, because it's just used as a weapon by the CIA. So
that's true. Okay.
All right.
So
well,
should be
thanks for joining us for another episode of News Buzz by Twice Told Tales. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you again next time.